Cameras are just perfectly clear. Here's clear sky. Same county. This is south of Depot Bay, the inn at Ottercrest, looking up to the north along the coast. Just absolutely gorgeous. And here's our state capital. Beautiful weather. And look at all the fall colors starting to show up right around our region. Just a really pretty October view there. 46, cool morning. Here are the other numbers. Kelso, you're now down to 41. Eugene's 42, Portland down to 46, along with Salem, 40 in the Dalles. And then you have the freezing frosty spots, Bend, Burns, John Day, Baker City. There are frosty reports coming in from that part of our state. Valley numbers today, despite the chilly start, all the way up into the upper 70s. Corvallis 79, Salem 78. If you don't typically get an east wind, today you will just see light winds and really nice. Battleground 78, look at that. Longview 76, Vancouver 76, mid-70s at the coast. So here west of the Cascades, temps will be really uniform. Tomorrow, whatever east wind we end up getting will slowly fade away the back half of tomorrow. And by Wednesday, we're in a cooler west flow. That's the reason from the 70s to the 67-degree Wednesday high. But these are 3 really nice days. And then we're back into a somewhat wet pattern with each day having a decent chance of manageable rainfall at times starting Thursday. And that does continue into the upcoming weekend. So take advantage of today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, Chris. Really nice.
You want to go launch that tee shot into the teeth of the east wind? So we've got drivers that are heading into that easterly sunrise, and I think that's the biggest problem out there. And if that's the biggest problem we have on a Monday morning, we're doing all right. 30 minutes though the drive in from Hillsborough. Here's what it looks like at the Sylvan Hill. As drivers make their way up from 217 to Skyline Boulevard, the sun hits you right in the face, right? So I think that's the reason for the slowing on that side of town. Otherwise, we're in pretty good shape. Out in the gorge, westbound I-84, it's just getting word of a crash, though, near Multnomah Falls. The highway remains open, but there is an emergency response headed that way. And a reminder, today is day 1 of a 6th-month closure of the East Viaduct of the Columbia River Highway. This is out near Multnomah Falls. So if you're trying to get to the falls, you can access it from I-84, but you cannot from the historic Columbia River Highway east of the falls. You'll have to use I-84 between now and the spring of 2026. Drew?
All right, thank you, Chris. We have a warning this morning from U.S. Senator Patty Murray. She says millions of Americans could pay more for health care because of President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Her explanation right after this quick break.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
As the government shutdown continues, one of Washington's senators is calling attention to what she describes as a health care crisis that threatens to shut down small businesses. U.S. Senator Patty Murray says the president's big, beautiful bill did not continue health care tax credits that millions of people get under the Affordable Care Act. She says that means health care costs will more than double, especially for small business owners and self-employed workers who are likely to get health care through the Affordable Care Act.
Those hikes are going to mean hard decisions. Some will have to offer plans with worse benefits, and their employees will have to pay higher premiums. Some will stop offering coverage to their employees altogether. And many small businesses, which account for half of job growth, will have to stop hiring. Many will have to let people go.
Senator Murray was joined by Oregon hospital leaders who say cuts to the Affordable Care Act also threaten people with insurance. They say since hospitals will see more uninsured people who can't pay for their care, those with insurance will likely shoulder the additional costs. Again, the government shutdown is now in its 6th day. Meanwhile, the Sunrise Show continues live at 8 o'clock on KGW Plus with more on President Trump's efforts to deploy the National Guard to Portland. Over the weekend, a federal judge blocked Oregon's National Guard or members of any state's National Guard from deploying here. Again, more on that story coming up next hour. The Sunrise Show will continue in 3 minutes.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
We're coming up on 7:59 on your Monday morning drive. Yeah, this is one thing, the East Viaduct closure of the historic Columbia River Highway out near Multnomah Falls. Be aware of that. ODOT postponed that last week. It begins today and will last until the spring of next year. All right, back to the freeway drive. The inbound Sunset staring at the sunrise, and that's probably why we've got that drive up to 34 minutes right now. Let me give you a look at Highway 26 right now, inbound. Rod, you need the welder's mask this morning on the inbound Sunset.
Yeah, it is bright. It is clear. It is going to be warm later today from the coast to the valley. Here's looking up I-5 by the Motor Center from our Rose City camera. Early morning number is chilly at 47 degrees. And here's our state capital in Salem. And again, this one's picking up some pretty fall colors. Really nice, 44. So again, jacket morning, 66 at noon. We were in the 70s yesterday. We'll do it again today, 76. And we'll do it again tomorrow, 76. And it will still be nice on Wednesday, 67.
What was unlawful yesterday is unlawful today.
Now on KGW Plus, blocked from deployment. A federal judge rules against the Trump administration's attempts to deploy the National Guard to Portland. That goes for the Oregon National Guard and Guard members from any state. Plus,
hands up! If you reach for a weapon, you could be shot!
newly released body cam video shows what led up to police shooting a man last month at a gas station in southeast Portland. We're going to take a closer look at the footage later this hour.
I know the life of a showgirl, babe.
Yeah, Taylor Swift's in the news this morning. Her new album could become the biggest of her career. And you can see the singing superstar tonight right here on KGW. We'll explain that coming up here in the 8 o'clock hour of Sunrise. Good morning and thanks for joining us on this Monday. I'm Drew Carney. China Green has the morning off, but Chris McGinnis and Rod Hill are ready to rock and roll in this 8 o'clock hour. Rod, let's start with your Monday forecast.
Yeah, my big message is it's one of those days where it's going to be as warm and as clear at the coast as it will be in the valley. That tells you the wind direction is east, which totally shuts off any cooling moderation coming off of the Pacific waters. Now, we're all waking up to jacket weather. 45 is the number in Lincoln City. Here's our live camera in Portland, 47 degrees. Some areas are more down to like 41 or 42. But the warm-up would be pretty quick. And if the east winds start to fire at all, east winds actually typically will give us a more rapid warming pattern during the morning than what we otherwise would have. I have a 66 at noon, 76 later today. If you don't get an east wind, you have light winds. Out near Troutdale, winds could eventually get up to around 30 miles per hour, maybe a little bit stronger than that. Here is Chris McGinnis.
What a day. All right, let's get you out the door. Here's a look at the drive times right now. This is probably the slowest of our inbound commutes. The trip coming in from Hillsborough right now, it's up to nearly 35 minutes, and probably the sun glare, the biggest issue here. No crashes reported, but you can see we're at the time of the year where that sunrise and the angle of the sun almost lines up perfectly with the inbound sunset. And so that's what drivers are facing coming in from that side of town right now. We'll take you over to Oregon City and West Lynn. Well, this is Oregon City. I-205, your southbound commute, slow rolling down towards the Abernathy Bridge. Not that that's all that unusual. And out in the Columbia River Gorge, Drew, we're getting word of a possible crash on 84 westbound. This is out near Multnomah Falls. Impacting westbound lanes. Right now from ODOT, the highway's open, but just be on the lookout for the emergency response there. If that winds up being something major, we'll certainly keep you posted on that.
All right, thank you, Chris. Top story here at 8 o'clock. We continue to follow the Trump administration's attempts to deploy the National Guard to Portland. Last night, a federal judge blocked the deployment of Guard members from any state to the city. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joins us live from the ICE facility near the south waterfront. So Thomas, you really had to pay attention to keep up with all the court rulings this weekend. Get us up to speed this morning.
Yeah, Drew, it's really one after another. And what happened last night is Judge Karen Emmergate granted a motion blocking a second temporary restraining order, or allowing a second temporary restraining order, blocking the deployment of National Guard troops from California and Oregon, or California and Texas, that is. The day before, she also issued an order preventing Oregon National Guard troops from being deployed here in Portland. We do know that about 100 California National Guard members had already arrived in the Portland metro area to camp with the Come in Happy Valley. Another 99 were on their way to Oregon as well yesterday.
What was unlawful yesterday is unlawful today. What was unlawful with the Oregon National Guard is unlawful with the California National Guard.
As California National Guard troops assembled in Oregon, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced plans to mobilize Texas National Guard troops to Oregon and Illinois. Meanwhile, President Trump doubled down on his claims about Portland.
The politicians are afraid for their lives. That's the only reason that they say, like, there's nothing happening. And you've seen it. The place is burning down and they pretend like there's nothing happening.
In an emergency hearing Sunday night, Judge Emmergate, who was appointed by Trump, asked how the move to send in the National Guard from California and Texas was not an attempt to circumvent her restraining order issued Saturday. That's when she then issued a second temporary restraining order blocking the deployment of troops from anywhere across the country from coming here to Portland. Drew?
Hey, Thomas, before we let you go, we just heard from Oregon's Attorney General, and we also heard from President Trump. But what about Portland leaders? What are they saying about all this?
Yeah, well, City and Mayor Keith Wilson of Portland says that, look, there's no justification for the federalization of these troops here in Portland. Here's a little bit more about what he had to say over the weekend.
This is yet another unnecessary and inflammatory attempt by the president to deploy outside troops in Portland where no intervention is warranted.
Now, the Trump administration has filed an appeal of that temporary restraining order, and in that appeal, attorneys for the DOJ say that the judge in this case, Karen Emmerich, second-guessed Trump's military judgment. So look, this is progressing, but there's still a long way to go in this court fight. Meanwhile, out here outside the ICE facility, this morning at least, it's been very peaceful. Drew?
All right, Thomas Schultz with all the latest for us there outside the Portland ICE facility. Meanwhile, there were also protests there in South Portland all weekend. A demonstration on Saturday morning began with a rally and a march that led protesters to the ICE facility. KGW's Jake Holter was there.
I think a lot of people are very scared. A lot of people are very nervous. You know, sending the military after your own citizens is an egregious act.
Holly Brown helped organize Saturday's anti-ICE protest, which kicked off at Elizabeth Carruthers Park, and says she has been protesting down at the ICE facility many times over the last few months.
The people protesting at ICE are completely peaceful. There are people who are going out there to stand up for their immigrant neighbors, and they are being painted in some press outlets and by Donald Trump as agitators, as people who don't belong here, who are causing violence, and nothing could be further from the truth.
FBI data released Thursday claims they've made 128 arrests since June 9th, but KGW has found that many taken into custody aren't formally charged. Those who have been charged are facing penalties for trespassing all the way up to assault on a federal officer. What do you make of the current characterization of Portland as a sort of war-ravaged place?
If this is war-ravaged, boy, there's a lot of people in the world that want to be here.
We said fight back!
Protesters then marched down to the ICE facility from the park, but were quickly met with force from federal agents. Holly Brown, who we'd interviewed earlier, stepped over the blue line on the ground marking federal property and was seemingly detained by federal agents, as you can see here, along with what looked like at least 2 other people. Moments later, agents deployed tear gas and mace. We also photographed someone who says he was hit by a pepper ball. Much of the crowd dispersed in the immediate aftermath, and KGW did not witness any violence coming from the side of the protesters.
Am I surprised that these fragile men with their big guns and stuff are sitting out here getting joy from shooting civilians? No.
Jake Holter, KGW News.
Portland police say they arrested 2 more people near the ICE facility just last night. The first one happened around 8 o'clock after someone reported being harassed. The second arrest happened shortly before 10:30 after reports of an assault. Officers responded and said they found a victim with non-life-threatening injuries. There have now been a total of 149 arrests at or near the ICE facility since June. Our news crew working there yesterday said they saw federal officers using pepper balls and tear gas on the crowd. The Portland branch of the FBI says they made 5 felony arrests between Saturday and Sunday nights. Then during a press conference yesterday, Mayor Wilson said that the city is planning to file a civil rights lawsuit against federal police, the Department of Homeland Security, and ICE for their actions at the facility.
Indiscriminate use of impact munitions to disperse an otherwise peaceful crowd. Indiscriminately discharging pepper spray. We saw a sniper on the roof of the ICE facility. This is not what we typically look at in crowd control or peaceful protests. This is an aggressive approach trying to inflame a situation that has otherwise been peaceful.
Mayor Wilson also claimed that federal officers are trying to antagonize crowds there who he says are otherwise protesting lawfully. A woman who was arrested during a protest outside the ICE facility this summer is scheduled for sentencing in December. The Oregon District Attorney's Office says 47-year-old Julie Winters pleaded guilty on charges of federal felony intimidation of a federal officer and resisting arrest. According to court documents, she pulled out a knife and swung it at officers back in June. She's also accused of fighting with deputy marshals when they tried to arrest her. All right, live look outside now by way of our Chehalem Tasting Room Skycam in Sherwood. Quick break from all the news headlines. Rod, you are a reprieve on this Monday morning. What do you have for us weather-wise in the Weather Center?
Sunny, warm, East wind for some, but not for all of us. Really a great day coming up. Here, live cameras really tell the story. We are perfectly clear from the coast all the way to Idaho and up through Washington and down through the California border. You can see here three things. One, Jefferson, two, Three Sisters, and three, the trees moving a little bit in the foreground from timberline. 42 east winds are bouncing up on the mountain to 27 miles per hour. It's the east wind patterns giving us the clear skies and will lead to the warm 70s later today. Here's Three Rivers Golf Course, pretty shadowing on the golf course early this morning. It's 42 at the airport up in Kelso, and you can see some folks. That's the par 5 number 1 tee right there. Beautiful, beautiful day. Another golf course, the Reserve Venus Golf Club in Loa. This one working off to the west and not as cool. 47 degrees is the temperature. Winds are generally light. 44 out in Hillsboro, 48 Beaverton, Happy Valley 49. Most of these temps are now on the rise. 43 Camas and Battleground. Camas was down to 41, I believe. 44 Salem, 52 down in Albany. Look at the coast and look at the valley. 75 Tillamook, 75 Portland at 4 p.m. this afternoon. Nearing 70 in Central Oregon, and that's after a frosty start in some spots. And in the 60s after a frosty start in some spots out in Eastern Oregon today as well. So just beautiful October weather. The records are still well up into the 80s, but clearly we're well above normal and considered quite warm for October. 76, 76, still dry on Wednesday, but the east winds will be gone. We get back to a west breeze, 67. And then starting Thursday, another run of each day having likely some rain. That is your update. Here's Chris.
Hard to find any complaints about that. Hard to find any complaints on the roads this morning, too, other than the bright sun glare that I think is causing some of the slowing out there. This is I-205 near Stafford Road at northbound commute. A little slow. I mean, not bad, but a little slow. 25 miles an hour is what our speed sensors indicate there. Heading over to the Gladstone, Oregon City area, there's southbound 205. This always bunches up this hour of a Monday morning drive near the Abernathy Bridge. And again, the sun is literally right, just frying your eyeballs out here on the inbound Sunset. This is out near Cedar Hills Boulevard, so that is likely leading to the slow commute coming in from Hillsboro right now. No crashes reported, but right now we're looking at just shy of 40 to get you in from Brookwood Parkway to I-405. Drew?
Thank you, Chris.
I signed up. I'm going to run it. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to see how it goes.
She did do it. She, along with a lot of others. Some first-time runners, some long-time runners, they all hit the streets for the Portland Marathon on Sunday. We're going to take you back to the big race right after this. Also, a quick reminder, this is the United Way's Community Impact Week. You can volunteer with others across the Portland and Vancouver areas, supporting local nonprofits all week long through Hands On Greater Portland. That's United Way's volunteer program. Sign up at unitedway-pdx.org.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Welcome back to Sunrise. The annual Portland Marathon took over city streets on Sunday morning. Organizers say it was actually a sold-out event with a lot bigger turnout, much bigger turnout than they've seen in years past. KGW's Jay Coulter has more for us from the finish line.
The longest I'd ever run before today was 8 miles.
Tougher than I thought.
Runners were all smiles Sunday after finishing up the Portland Marathon and half marathon.
I ran a course record. I ran it the past 2 years and got 2:59 and then 2:58, and then this time I ran 2:47, I think. So pretty good.
This was 20-year-old Micah Margison's 4th marathon, and he's qualified for Boston. But he was most excited to have his fiancée run the half while he ran the full.
I love you.
He met her at the finish line with flowers.
I saw him twice, and it was so great. That gave me so much more energy than I thought I had.
I'm really proud of her. I told her last week that I'd be proud of her no matter what happened.
But first-time racer Malia Harvey wasn't only doing it for Micah.
Well, my dad used to run the half, and he passed away. And so I really wanted to honor him, and I really wanted to do it. And then I talked one of my friends into it, so I'm like, shoot, now I have to do it. And then he signed up for the marathon, so I felt like there's no turning back.
And Malia wasn't the only first-timer. 71-year-old Glenn Buck ran his first half marathon Sunday.
Probably the first 6 miles is okay, and then coming up that hill near the end, and what was it, mile 8? That was tough. But okay, I had my daughter and son-in-law pacing me. They were helping me out a lot, so it went really well.
And first-time racer Hannah Anderson decided the night before that she was going to do it.
Signed up a while ago. I was like, nah, it's not going to happen. I haven't really trained, have a bad knee. And then last night I was like, I signed up. I'm going to run it. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to see how it goes. And it was good.
Organizers say the race had nearly 3,000 more runners this year versus last year, which they say is likely due to this year's Nike sponsorship. KGW also drove by the section of the race near the ice facility, but didn't see any disturbances. Jay Coulter, KGW News.
Not this version of Rod Hill, not the present day version. But can you even imagine the 1980s version of Rod Hill the night before going, you know what? I think I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow, and just going out and doing it?
No. Do you remember in elementary school what they call it, the presidential fitness test or something?
Yes.
And part of that we had to do was the 600-yard dash.
Okay.
So the 600-yard dash, I was terrified by that. Now that is not as long as a marathon.
No,
but in my mind, it was pretty close.
It does sound a lot longer than the 100-yard dash. Why not just start with 100?
Even nothing wrong with the 10-yard dash. Let me tell you, that'll prepare you to get the mail as you get older in life. Right. Here's a look at our wind map. So on these clear sky, warm days, that's what we have going on. We have a cool morning, that time of the year. If it's clear at night, it's cool in the morning, right? But really, I'm just going to be tracking east wind reports today and not expecting anything to be overly bad or overly out of control. This is 1 o'clock this afternoon. And the highest projection I can find is a 32-mile-per-hour east wind gust coming into Troutdale. Breezy, yes. Nothing, alarming there. And then some splintering and maybe some 20-mile-per-hour wind gusts at times into the valley and off of the coast. And really, that's about it. Winds don't look to be any stronger overnight tonight. About the same tomorrow morning. Here's a 29-mile-per-hour wind gust in Troutdale. Now, I do want to show you that 5 o'clock tomorrow, notice how the arrows that we're bringing in east wind flip to the west. Troutdale shows east of 5, but later tomorrow, the east winds completely fade away, and eventually everything kicks to the west. That will usher in a cooler Wednesday, but still dry, and set the table for the return of a rainy pattern to some degree starting Thursday. So weather models on Thursday show some manageable rainfall, but generally less than a tenth of an inch is what they're showing here on the west side. The same models are seeing an upper level low sit out here, fire up a south wind, and these models are showing potential thunderstorms and convection with some spotty downpours in central and eastern Oregon. I mean, look at Prineville, 64 and hundreds. Then the only way you could get that would be some convection and maybe a thunderstorm. And then if you keep the rain totals adding all the way through Saturday, again, you got 9/10 now in LeGrand. You've got over an inch in Prineville. You've got 7/10 in Bend. So that's a return to some thunderstorm activity. And then you've got showery weather that may or may not get over a quarter of an inch of rain in all locations here in the Willamette Valley. That was Thursday, Friday, Saturday combo. So Again, that's what we're tracking for the back half of the week. This first half of the week's fantastic. We're all clear. Here's the Vancouver, the Springs at the waterfront camera, looking at the blue waters of the Columbia. And a cool morning at 44 degrees. Look at that deep blue sky over Providence Park. 50 degrees is the temperature. And then fall colors and clear skies around our beautiful capital down in Salem. 44 is the temperature there. 42 up in Kelso. Freezing out east, no surprise there with the clear skies. 29 in Baker City. Gorge winds today expected to stay under 40 miles per hour. This shows gusts no higher than about 35 in the West Gorge. Temperatures in the 70s. Valley upper 70s. I mean, this shows Corvallis at 79. Southwest Washington, even up in Cowlitz County, Longview, Kelso 76. I've got Portland 76, 76. Still really nice on Wednesday, just the west breeze, so the cool down, 67. There's that start of getting some rain starting Thursday and continuing into the weekend. Here's Chris.
We have a complaint.
Uh-oh.
It's too bright. I can't see. This is what it looks like right now for the drivers. I mean, literally frying your eyeballs out here on the inbound Highway 26 commute. Again, out near Cedar Hills Boulevard. Another area of sun glare, that low sun angle right in the driver's eye. This is near Stafford Road on I-205. So the northbound commute staring right into that rising sun. And one more sunrise shot here from Capitol Highway as drivers come up and over Breeze Hill. That's I-5. You can see that they stare right into the sun there as well. So really, the sunshine is probably the only big issue on the roads this morning. It's just a little blinding, and that's causing some slowing, I think, on the Sunset right now. About 40 minutes to get you in from Hillsborough at last check. Here's the drive through North Portland, the end of the line. It never really was much of a lineup in Clark County, but the I-5 South lineup starts right here at the Expo Center. Total drive in from Main Street to the Fremont Bridge. Drew, that is averaging 20 minutes.
All right, sounds good, Chris.
Visitors are going to feel, especially those that get into some kind of trouble, are going to feel the consequences of that.
National Park Rangers say help could be harder to come by at the country's national parks. That's because the Rangers say the Trump administration is putting a greater emphasis on training ICE agents than new Ranger recruits. More on that after this.
KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
National Park Rangers say training for their new recruits is on hold because the Trump administration is putting a greater emphasis on training new ICE agents. Rangers say that means there could be fewer of them available to respond to emergencies at national parks. Bridget Chavez with their sister station in Seattle has more.
When you call for help in a national park, it's usually a law enforcement ranger who shows up first. But a new federal decision that halts new rangers training could mean fewer of them are there to answer.
Visitors are going to feel, especially those that get into some kind of trouble, are going to feel the consequences of that.
Bill Wade understands the challenges firsthand. He's a former ranger and superintendent of Shenandoah National Park in Virginia.
Well, we know there's already a short staffing of law enforcement rangers in national parks throughout the system. And so this would just add to the difficulty.
The Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers, known as FLETC, is where new rangers go for law enforcement training. FLETC says its top priority is onboarding 10,000 ICE enforcement and removal operations personnel and 1,000 Homeland Security investigations agents by the end of this year.
Well, as a former ranger,
Wade, who is now the executive director of the Association of National Park Rangers, says they first heard about the postponements from rangers who were supposed to attend trainings.
it's really a damaging thing to all of us who have worked in parks, and certainly even more so to the employees who are still working in parks.
In a statement, a spokesperson for the Department of the Interior said the claim that classes have been widely canceled is false. The Department of Interior is committed to strengthening public safety across our national parks. Officials say postponed trainings will be rescheduled as early as fiscal year 2026, but gave no specific timeline. When we asked how many classes were delayed, how many vacancies exist, or what visitors should expect, their response was, quote, "We don't have anything additional to share at this time."
I think this overall, what I call the demolition of the National Park Service and the damage to the parks, is going to take years, if not decades now, to overcome.
Hands up! If you reach for a weapon, you could be shot!
Newly released body cam video shows the moments leading up to a police shooting last month at a Southeast Portland gas station. We're going to take a closer look coming up in our next half hour.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
Good morning, I'm Drew Carney. Following an emergency hearing over the weekend, a federal judge blocked the deployment of National Guard members from any state here to Portland. Despite that ruling, roughly 100 California National Guard members have arrived here in the area. They're at Camp Withicum over in Happy Valley, and another 99 troops were on their way to Oregon as of yesterday. All right, let's talk about today's weather. Rob, what do you have for us?
Well, it's just a show and tell, really. So let me do the showing. I'll do just a little bit of telling. Not much telling required. Look at the blue sky. Rose City, it's a cool morning, 47 degrees. Salem, not only the clear sky, but the pretty fall foliage starting to show up with some of the trees there around the state capitol, 44. Here's your day moving forward. A nice warm up, 66 at noon, 76 degrees. Yesterday it was 74, even warmer today. About the same tomorrow. Wednesday, 67. Beautiful weather. Thursday, we get back to it, meaning showers expected, and then every day into Sunday has a reasonable chance of getting some measurable rainfall.
All right, starting the 8:30 half hour sunrise with 5 local monkeys. At least they used to be local. They were actually rescued from the West Coast Game Park Safari in Southern Oregon. That place was under a lot of heat and hot water earlier this year, but these 5 monkeys rescued from there, and they're now settling into their new home at the Born Free USA Primate Sanctuary in Texas. Okay, so we've got the monkeys up there on the screen who are now enjoying the sun, the space, and all the other social time they're getting with the other monkeys at that facility, again in Texas.
Barbecue too. I don't know. Do monkeys like barbecue? If they do, they're in the right spot.
I didn't catch you first. I'm like, what are you? Oh, yeah, Texas
barbecue.
I like bear. Bear's face. So cute.
Oh yeah, no,
so cute.
Actually, a really good ending for those 5 monkeys for sure. Yeah. Good start to the Monday. Good start to the work week weather-wise.
Yeah, we're looking at the beach here, Chinook Winds Casino Resort in Lincoln City. Now, remember, if you're new to our area, east winds, as we go into the winter, are an increasing thing. And what east winds do or can do is keep any cooling of the Pacific waters away because the wind's coming off of land. So when it's clear, which often it is with east winds, you folks warm up almost as much as the valley. So 45, pardon me, right now, temperatures at the beach in some areas will be mid-70s, same as Portland. Wow, really a beautiful day. There's the Moda Center looking north up I-5. Our morning number is cool as well, 47. Obviously, October, clear skies. You would expect chilly morning, 66 at noon. There's the warm-up, 76. We did make it to 74 degrees yesterday. And then what I just mentioned, check this out, 4 o'clock this afternoon, or 5 o'clock, pardon me, 74 Tillamook, 75 Portland, and then 77 Salem, 78 Albany, Eugene. Not as warm east of the Cascades, but still a clear sky, delightful day. Nearing 70 in Madras and Bend, and then about 62 on Baker City. But you folks have been in the 20s this morning, so that's a pretty good warm-up, right? Here is the 7-day forecast. So we have 3 dry days. Tomorrow, similar to today, 76. We think the worst of the wind will be gusting to 30-something in the gorge and maybe bouncing about 25 in some splintering areas of the valley. Those east winds fade the latter part of tomorrow. By Wednesday, it's a west breeze. That's the reason for the cool down, 70s to 60s. And then starting Thursday, day 1 of what looks to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all with a reasonable chance of getting measurable rainfall at times. Pretty good day, really good day today.
I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10?
10.
Maybe an 11 for October? All right, let's go ahead and get you out the door. The drive, actually not in too bad a shape, but I did find a couple of slow spots. This is I-5 northbound through Tualatin near the 205 interchange. There was a fender bender reported here not too long ago. It looks like that's cleared, but the drive's certainly a little slow still on that segment of freeway. Also, the sun right in the driver's eye here for the Highway 26, the Sunset inbound commute. This is out near Cedar Hills Boulevard. So those are 2 of our bigger slow spots right now. You're driving from Hillsborough just shy of 40 minutes, and the drive north from Wilsonville right now still averaging about 35 minutes at last check. Drew?
All right, thank you, Chris. Top story here at 8:30, a court battle continues between the Trump administration and Oregon leaders over the deployment of the National Guard to Portland. That debated deployment would appear to center around the city's ICE facility, where protests have been going on since June. Thomas Schultz brings us the latest from the South Waterfront.
Well, out here along the South Waterfront, right outside the ICE facility, it's been very quiet all morning long. No protests that we've seen so far. There does seem to be a couple people beginning to mill around the area. If we pan to the left as well here, you can see that there is a little camp set up among protesters. There are protesters here, just no protests happening right now. That's something that'll probably start to take shape a little bit later in the day. Last night, our crews saw an altercation and an arrest made by Portland police. There was also use of pepper balls and tear gas on the crowd by federal officers. Our crews also saw a fight break out among protesters and counter-protesters. One protester appeared to be knocked unconscious. Portland police and medics rushed to assist them. Now, the Trump administration is using all of this as a justification for sending troops to Portland, namely this area outside the ICE facility. Sunday, the Portland branch of the FBI says they made 5 felony arrests over the past 24 hours. Since June, there have been 149 total arrests. The thing is, a lot of those came in June. Saturday, federal officers appear to take a more aggressive approach toward demonstrators, firing tear gas and pepper balls into the area. During a press conference Sunday, Mayor Keith Wilson says he's planning to file a civil rights lawsuit against several federal agencies.
Indiscriminate use of impact munitions to disperse an otherwise peaceful crowd. Indiscriminately discharging pepper spray. We saw a sniper on the roof of the ICE facility. This is not what we typically look at in crowd control or peaceful protests. This is an aggressive approach trying to inflame a situation that has otherwise been peaceful.
Mayor Keith Wilson also claims that federal agents are antagonizing protesters who are peacefully protesting. This also all comes as there's a court battle playing out at the same time. Last night on Sunday, a federal judge issued a motion blocking the deployment of National Guard troops from around the country, from other states, namely California and Texas. That came a day after she blocked the use of National Guard troops from Oregon from being here in Portland outside federal facilities like the ICE facility. Along the South Waterfront, Thomas Schultz, KGW News.
Meanwhile, on Saturday, President Trump also ordered 300 National Guard troops to the city of Chicago. That move followed an incident in Chicago where 2 protesters rammed their car into federal vehicles and tried to box them in. Authorities arrested Miramar Martinez and Anthony Ruiz. Both of them face federal charges. Authorities say Martinez, you see her there on the screen, was shot by ICE agents during the incident and taken to the hospital. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says that the Defense Department gave him an ultimatum. They said either authorize the deployment of the federal troops or the federal government would.
They want mayhem on the ground. They want to create the war zone so that they can send in even more troops. Now they're claiming they need 300 of Illinois' National Guard. Well, we didn't need them before they showed up.
There have been more than 1,000 arrests in Chicago since September 8th. Back here in Portland, police say one man died after an assault last night downtown. Right around 9 o'clock, officers arrived at the hospital to assist with a medical call. They say the man was injured during the assault about an hour earlier on Southwest 4th and Oak. He was pronounced dead a few hours later despite life-saving efforts at the hospital.
Hands up! If you reach for a weapon, you could be shot!
Police released body cam video that shows them shooting a man at a gas station in southeast Portland last month. Now, some viewers may find the rest of this video disturbing. You will hear gunshots, but you won't see the shots being fired or anyone getting hit. Here's KGW's John Adams with the details.
On the morning of September 20th, Portland police officers responded after a report of a man threatening an employee at a gas station in southeast Portland. They encountered the suspect at another gas station near Southeast 122nd and Division. Body-worn camera video shows officers arriving on scene and communicating with the suspect, asking him to exit the vehicle with his hands up.
Hands up! If you reach for a weapon, you could be shot!
The verbal commands from officers were being directed at the suspect in the passenger seat of the silver SUV, who police have identified as 30-year-old Brian Velasco Ruelas of Portland.
Passenger, put your hands up! Hands up, passenger!
Velasco Ruelas eventually exits the vehicle. We have decided to blur him in this video.
Hands up, passenger! They're semi-cooperative. Nope, just keep your hands up! Stop reaching around!
Seconds later, you can hear an exchange of gunfire. Velasco Ruelas was hit in the exchange. Portland police officers provided him medical aid after the shooting. According to PPB, a police cruiser and a nearby vehicle were hit with gunfire, and a firearm was also recovered. Velasco Ruelas was transported to the hospital after the incident. 2 weeks later, he remains in police custody in the hospital.
Again, that was John Adams reporting for us this morning. Portland police say formal charges will be filed when the suspect is released, which is standard procedure. The two officers who used their guns are on administrative leave while the investigation continues. We also know that no officers were hurt. In other headlines this morning, a driver is facing criminal charges after authorities say he hit a traffic control worker on I-84 in Northeast Portland. The worker was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Police arrested the driver, 20-year-old Gabriel Dorton, who allegedly hit a barricade. Dorton is charged with assault, reckless driving, and reckless endangerment. 10 people are without a home this morning after a fire at an apartment complex in Northwest Portland over on Cornell Road. Crews arrived there around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon and found smoke and flames coming out the back of a third-floor unit. That fire also spread to an adjacent unit, but firefighters got it under control before it spread anymore. They treated one person at the scene for minor injuries. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Thousands of nurses and other healthcare professionals who work for Kaiser Permanente in the Portland area are about to hit the picket line. The workers' union says their strike will begin on October 14th and will last no longer than 5 days. The current agreement expired at the end of last month, and union representatives say there hasn't really been a lot of progress in negotiations. The union represents roughly 4,000 workers, including nurses, lab employees, and other healthcare professionals like physical therapists. All right, before we check in with Chris McGinnis and a traffic report, a quick heads up about our KGW Great Toy Drive. Yes, we are aware that it's only October 6th, but now is the time to sign up to help us collect toys this year. Whether you're a local business owner, maybe you're part of an organization, maybe you're just going to throw a big party during the holiday season, you can definitely help us out. Go to kgw.com/toy, sign up, and we'll send you the official KGW Great Toy Drive collection kit. I almost said pit, Chris. Collection kit for people that want to help.
And to your point of how much work and effort goes into it, we've got to start early. In fact, I'm surprised we didn't start it in August. I know they were preparing for it in August, right? All right, let's get you out the door. One of our slowest drives remaining is the inbound Sunset, and I think this is almost entirely due to just the blinding sun on that Highway 26 commute. We'll take you out there. This is out near Cedar Hills Boulevard, and you can see there's the eastbound commute from Murray all the way east to Cedar Hills and then heading up the hill towards Skyline Boulevard. So the sun is kind of right in the driver's eye there. Also to the south side of town, this is actually getting better. Northbound I-5 has improved a bit through Tualatin, but we're still running a little thick there. If you're taking advantage of this gorgeous weather over the next couple of days and you're heading to the Gorge, know this: Oregon's biggest tourist attraction, Multnomah Falls. The East Viaduct closure starts today. That's the east side of the historic Columbia River Highway, east of Multnomah Falls towards the Oneonta Gorge Trailhead. That'll be closed now for 6 months as ODOT does some major repairs to that section of roadway. You can still access the falls through. You just need to take the I-84 exit, which is exit 31. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Chris.
I'm always listening and I'm always lurking and I'm always listening to their opinions and their theories.
So fans are talking, and Taylor, as you just heard, says she's listening after a record-breaking weekend for her brand new album, The Life of a Showgirl. Taylor is also going to be on KGW tonight. We'll let you know exactly when and why right after this.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yeah.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW+.
Coming up tonight here on KGW, Taylor Swift makes a special guest appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Last week, of course, Taylor released her latest album, which had Swifties. Does that include you, Rod Hill?
Yeah, what the heck?
Okay, it had Swifties lining up to get one. NBC's Mark Barger has a preview of tonight's appearance with Jimmy Fallon.
I just am doing the album thing now, which is a big thing.
And big thing is an understatement for Taylor Swift's new album. The Swifties, who blew up social media and lined up for hours, bought 2.7 million copies of The Life of a Showgirl on Friday alone, more than Swift has sold in any single week of her career.
This album is a complete and total snapshot of what my life looks like right now.
And after making the publicity rounds in Great Britain,
Please welcome Taylor Swift!
she is back stateside tonight with Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show.
When this new album was announced, I think we just called everybody and said, please consider us.
The fact that Swift has made 6 previous visits with Fallon did not hurt.
Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name's Natalie.
I think I've just known her for years, and I think we've always had her on the show. I know her mom really well.
That connection with Swift's mom paid off in 2019
I'm not asleep. My mind is alive.
when mom shared her video of Swift's comical recovery from LASIK surgery.
Don't be mad at me. I made some calls.
Oh my God.
So to watch her just skyrocket and just become the legend that she's now become, it's pretty cool.
Taylor Swift.
Swift will also be Seth Meyers' one and only guest on Late Night Wednesday, when her fans are very likely to be one of the topics.
I'm always listening and I'm always lurking and I'm always listening to their opinions and their theories.
As Showtime continues for the Showgirl. Mark Barker, NBC Entertainment.
I'm sitting here watching this. I'm thinking, I'm going to go ahead and say she is the most popular musical artist in the world right now.
I will go a step further and say, if you're going, who is the biggest superstar that has that aura of, oh my gosh, just to get a glimpse? I would say that's her.
And the crazy thing about her now, I think back to like the 80s, Michael Jackson, like that was the thing, right? There was a time where people could not get enough of Michael Jackson, but that only lasted really, like Michael's solo phenomenon only lasted about a decade. She's coming up on 20 years now.
I know. I saw Michael Jackson after his Off the Wall album at the old Checker Dome in St. Louis.
Yep.
Most amazing tour concert I've ever been to. I mean, it was just crazy how good it was.
What year do you think that was? Probably like 1980?
80s,
right on the dot?
yeah, the 87, 8, somewhere in there.
Off the
probably.
Wall?
Was that before that?
Yes.
It was in the 80s.
That was before Thriller, which I know was like 84.
Okay. Well, I guess I drove from Columbia to get there then. Okay, all right. Look at me driving to a concert. I'm surprising even myself. I thought I would only go if I lived next door, you know what I mean? But I drove. Wow. All right. Here we go. We have winds that are mainly north and mainly light to about 10 miles per hour in the valley. We're on guard as forecasters to watch east wind reports today. I mean, the wind is east overall. There's 13 Newport, 13 Tillamook. That will guarantee the clear sky day at the coast, which is already taking place, and also bring the warmth to the beach, 70s like the valley. John Day east, Pendleton southeast. So obviously nothing overly windy. You saw how clear it is in all areas. Now this camera does show some wind. This is timberline. We lost the dusting that was on the ground from last week down to about 7,000 feet. East winds gusting to 30, 42. That's chilly. Models show the gorge, West Gorge, could get some gusts to 30, 35 today. And in parts of the valley, kind of splintering winds, if you will, there could be some 20-mile-per-hour gusts. So nothing extreme. And really, if you don't get an east wind like I don't in my house where I live up in Clark County, you just have light winds all day. Beautiful weather. Look how pretty this is from the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club in a low of 47 degrees. It's a light northwest wind right now at 5 miles per hour. And gorgeous weather over the vineyard from the Chehalem Tasting Room out in Sherwood. It is 46 degrees. Clearly, what a fabulous day to be working, playing, just looking out the window for that part. 42 up in Kelso, 41 Bend, Temperatures are now warming, still 29 in Baker City. We had freezing numbers earlier today down in Burns, and John Day was down around 32 as well. So here are the numbers. In the valley, we're thinking at least as warm as yesterday to 2 to 3 degrees warmer. So this shows 79 in Corvallis, 78 in Salem. Records are still closer to 90 than 80, by the way, for this time of the year. So we're not in record territory, but plenty warm for October. 78 in Battleground, and then 76 in Longview and Vancouver. Again, east winds 5 to 15. Maybe some of the east wind zones get gusts to 35 out near the gorge. Here are the 7-day numbers. We're all dry through Wednesday. The east winds today, 76. The east winds tomorrow, 76. The back half of tomorrow, the east winds start to fade, and then we veer those winds around to the southwest, and it's the westerly wind direction that accounts for the cool down Wednesday. So we go mid-70s to 67. Obviously really nice still. And then we have, starting Thursday, some showers in the area, and we think odds are good for some measurable rainfall each day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It is a birthday time. All right, on a sunny Monday, there's Zoe with that red tongue sticking out. She's been having a treat, it looks like. 4 years old. Happy birthday to you. Hallie is 14. Happy birthday to you. Fun picture there from Salem. And then Becca is 24 today. Happy birthday to you. And we have one more, I believe. Yep, there's Bob, 66 years young. Happy birthday to you, sir. Happy you have a great day. Birthdays at KGW.com. We'll celebrate with you. Here's Chris.
Rod, thank you for that. Let's pick it up on the east side. Getting out of Clackamas County, northbound 205 still needs a little help here. This is up near and approaching Johnson Creek Boulevard. The drive actually slows a little bit more between there and Lentz near Foster. So a few extra minutes still needed on that side of town. We'll switch gears real quick. Door number 2 will take us over to the west side. And again, the inbound Sunset is still lined up, staring at the rising sun here. That's really the only explanation I have for the slow drive time coming in from Hillsborough. It's not terrible, but it's 36 minutes right now to get you in from Brookwood Parkway to I-405. Elsewhere on the system, I-5 out of Clark County. There never was a lineup on the Clark County side this morning, and we're zipping along okay through North Portland. That said, the trip in from Main Street to the Fremont Bridge is still averaging about 16 minutes at last check. We'll be right back.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
The on-again, off-again deployment of the National Guard to Portland remains our top story this morning. Following an emergency hearing over the weekend, a federal judge blocked the deployment of Guard members from any state here to Portland. Despite that ruling, roughly 100 California National Guard members have arrived in the area. They're at Camp Withicum in Happy Valley. There were protests all weekend near the ICE facility in South Portland, so this is video from last night. The Portland branch of the FBI says they've made 5 felony arrests between Saturday and Sunday nights. Portland Mayor Keith Wilson also claimed that federal officers are trying to antagonize the crowds there.
Weather-wise, everybody is clear, so you don't need to call your neighbor and say, hey, are you clear? We are. No, everybody's clear. 76 degrees the high. We are looking at east winds, breezy in the usual spots. We're all dry until we get some scattered showers coming up starting Thursday, and that rain chance is good into the weekend.
We got a complaint.
Uh-oh.
The drivers on the Sunset. Oh man, staring at that rising sun. That's about the only trouble spot that we have out there right now. 33 minutes till the drive time in from Hillsborough. Really, it's been a relatively decent morning commute for most of us today.
All right, boys, time to load up on the carbs because today is National Noodle Day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, National Noodle
I
Day.
like National Pizza Day better, but continue.
I don't mind pasta. I'm a fan of pasta.
So many different ways to cook it.
I like the marinara sauce especially.
Like a little olive and garlic.
There you go. All right, well, noodles, a couple of fun facts for you.
Oh, fun facts.
On this National Noodle Day. Yeah. Noodles were actually invented in China around 4,000 years ago. A lot of people may have heard that.
4,000 years? That was before pizza, I think, but go ahead.
That was even before Rod was born.
Instant ramen noodles were invented in Japan almost 70 years ago now in 1958.
So what about that Velveeta mac and cheese they're making?
Oh, look at that. Stir it up nice and good. All right, final 30 seconds of our Sunrise Show on this Monday. I will tell you that China Green is still off tomorrow, so you'll get another dose of Chris, myself, and Rod on Tuesday.
The Drew Carney Show.
You know what? Research suggests if you can withstand and go through 2 full days of a morning show with these 3 people, you can do anything. You can survive anything in life. We'll see you tomorrow.